You know, I have been waiting a long time for this moment. I have been waiting a long time for people to finally, as a whole, start to see and understand just how evil and Malthusian these degrowthers are. They've been commonly referred to as urbanists, right? They call themselves that. They call themselves, the urbanist movement is absolutely a part of the degrowth movement. The wider degrowth movement that you've seen in some of the more fringe communist circles. And it's about fucking time that these people finally got some attention paid to them, because these are the ones who are directly responsible. Like, there's a lot of entry points for the communist takeover of these cities, okay? And these were around, like this particular situation was around long before Zoran got here, long before we, long before we had as many DSA members in city council as we have now. What we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen, is we are dealing with people, the ones who, the most dangerous people in New York City government reside within the Department of Transportation Alternatives. That's where they're at. That's where they're at. If you want to know why New York City streets, and really every city, and say hi, every city more broadly, from Washington, D.C., to Chicago, to Los Angeles, to New York, to even Baltimore, Maryland. If you've ever wanted to know why there are green bike lanes everywhere, if you've ever wanted to know why you have plastic stanchions all over the place, here in New York City there are like boulders and planter pots. Like, there's all sorts of shit in the road. I've taken, and I've talked about this ad nauseum, but now they're starting to get national attention, and I have been waiting for this, because the one thing about communists, and I don't care what type of fucking back deals that Democrats and Republicans on the local level, and I'll make another video about that. I don't care what kind of side deals that Democrats and Republicans cut in order to kind of like, like in some containment exercise that they think, to try to keep the communism within the 5 boroughs or whatever. For all of that, right? Communists, I'm talking about your true believers, will never, they can never fully be trusted, because you can never trust them to shut the fuck up. Tremel Thompson, the vice president for train operators, conductors, and tower operators with New York City, with Transport Workers Union Local 100, came out with quite a salvo a couple of days ago, basically calling out, plainly stating that there is, in fact, a war on cars in New York City. And, again, more broadly, across the country, really around the world, okay? And they're mad at him. The urbanists are mad at him because if there's one thing that I've learned, and we got a taste of this when they were making, when the same people who were also, the biggest proponents of congestion pricing, by the way, when they were making fun of cops and firefighters and EMS, who have to drive to their work locations with their tools and everything, when like these urbanists were mocking blue collar union workers. They were mocking them, tell them they could catch the train. They were saying, well, there was one video of a fireman who was like going to work on a fucking skateboard, and they were laughing it up. They were laughing at this, like they're actively laughing at the middle class. And so that's what you have. You have people who are not from New York City. None of these people are from New York City, okay? You might have a couple, but they are very rich, very white, okay? And the few tokens that they have are grew up around them, right? So they're basically all the same, okay? To sit up and mock people who work dangerous jobs, who put their lives on the line every day in service to the people of this city and the people and elsewhere, is just really some of the most depraved shit imaginable. That's who we're dealing with. We are dealing with people who want to, like, to them, they don't look at whatever reason you might have for having a car. It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter if you have a car. It doesn't matter if you're a cop, firefighter, transit worker. It doesn't matter to these people. They see a car on the road and they want you out of it. They want to put everybody on the train. They want to put everybody on the buses without ever approaching the real issue why nobody's taking the trains and the buses like that. Nobody's taking the fucking trains and the buses here in New York and elsewhere because it's not fucking safe to do. You're taking a gamble. The stations are dirty. The trains are dirty. You have mentally ill, homeless people everywhere. I was kicked yesterday on a bus by some rancid homeless motherfucker, right? We're dealing with folk who do not care about the societal implications. They're trying to get to a utopia without doing any of the little shit that matters most. But that's who we're dealing with. We are dealing with children. We are dealing with people who have never been told no a single time in their miserable fucking lives, folks. And now they're being exposed. Now people are talking about the urbanist movement en masse. And it's a great thing. Because I'm telling you right now, and I'm telling you right now, these motherfuckers have to go. If you want your cities and towns back, if you want your streets back for cars, you have to unearth who the people are behind the urbanist movement. They are the primary drivers of this. They're the ones who are pushing this shit onto everybody else. And again, this is a global project. They're doing it everywhere. Paris, London, Barcelona, wherever. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, of small businesses that are lying in their wake. White liberals who think that they're doing us black folk a favor. They think that somebody said, and I know I'm going kind of long here, but this is important. Somebody said, I do not remember who it is. You can please correct me in the comments. Somebody said that Democrats, the left, They right now want a dumbbell economy. They want a dumbbell society. They want a bunch of people at the top. They want a bunch of people at the bottom and nobody in the middle. That's what they want. They don't want a middle class. They want everybody either super rich or super poor. And unfortunately, with the type of fucking commies that we're dealing with, they will redefine wealth until it's people who wearing glasses like they did in Cambodia. Like, that's what we're dealing with. That's the type of nonsense that we're dealing with. And the crazy part is, when it comes to bike lanes, I've said this before, I'm not against all of them, right? There's one that I talk about very often that's on the West Side Highway here in Manhattan. As long as it does not directly interfere with car traffic, and it doesn't, it makes sense. It's a gorgeous ride. It's a gorgeous ride. It's been in existence for years. But the problem is, it's not invasive enough. So now you've had certain people within city government saying, let's take one lane of the West Side Highway and let's add more bike lanes to it. That gave the game away, folks. That gave the game away. You want your cities and towns back, you've got to take out these urbanists. Investigate them. Sue them. Find out who they are. Find out who Street Blogs is. Find out who the guy behind Street Films is. Find out who is funding these people. Because all these people have bosses. All of them got bosses. All of these people have people above them who are pulling their strings and paying the money. Find who these people are. Shame them publicly if you have to. These people cannot be allowed. And one last thing. Show up to your community board meetings, because I'm telling you right now, these nonprofits that I'm discussing right now, these nonprofits, they go to these community board meetings, they flood them. They flood these community board meetings all over the city. And they literally manufacture the consent to put these abominations in the road. Go to your community board meetings. I know times are tough right now. If you got to book off from work, if you got to call out sick, if you got to take off a little early to get to where these meetings are, go. Go. Because this is not going to stop. None of this stops until you, the American people, stop this. None of this ends until you, the people of New York, are ready to end this. That's just it. So until we're ready to move forward, until we're ready to get these bike lanes, to rip these bike lanes out of the streets, until you're ready to elect people who actively want to turn New York City back into a red city, unless you're ready to either run or elect people who want to turn this city back into something great, then just prepare to sit here and take whatever they give you. Prepare for the parking lot speeds on the West Side Highway and the FDR Drive. Prepare for that. These people want to fucking hurt you. They want to slow you down. They want to make driving untenable. They want to make it so expensive and so slow that you will positively transcend your car and rely upon the state for everything you need in terms of moving around. And that's how they get you. Folks, I'm being dead serious about this. I'm sorry for going long, but please pay close attention to everything that I've said tonight. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow on the next one.